Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Vrinda Devi, Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Vrinda Devi, Jaya Vrinda Devi, Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Vrinda Devi.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hagute. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hagute. Gopi Janavalabha Ire Badatare Gopi Janavalabha Ire Badatare Yasunanana Brajajana Ranjana Yasunanana Brajajana Ranjana Jampuna Tira Panachate Yamuna Tira Manachate Jayurandhu Madhava Kunnavihati Joyuradhu Madhuva Kunnavihati Gopi Janavalabha Ire Baladhare Gopi Janavalabha Ire Baladhare Yasunanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yasunanandana Rajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachate Yamuna Tira Vanachate Jaya Ranumadhura Gunavikhate Joya Radhamadhava Gunavikhate Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paramitacharya also Teta Satashi Shimad His Divine Grace Abhaya Chatananda Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Anantakoti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Huilas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shidwaita Gadadha Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Radha Krishna Gopikapana Shaima Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavanam Ki Jai Maturadam Ki Jai Jagadasami Ki Jai Yamuna Mai Gajai, Shimati Tulasidev Gajai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Gajai, Gaur Prangananda, Hari Hari Bal, all glories, the assembled devotees, all glories, the assembled devotees, all glories, the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Ma'am Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Budale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Samaditi Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pacharni Nivashesha Shanyavadi Paschatyadeyasadarni. Reading from the 10th canto Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 66, text 9. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Mukham Tad Apijayagnya Akanka Gridra Avatar Vrita Sayashyase Atas Tatra Vavata Sharanam Shunam Mukam Tarapi Jaya Mukam Tarapi Jaya Mukam Tarapi Jaya Jaya Tarapi Jaya Kanka Gridra Vatarvata Sayashyase Atastatra Bhavata Sharanang Shunam Mukam Tadapi Jayagya Kanka Gridra Vratarvata Sayashyase Hatastatra Bhavata Sharanam Shunam Mukam Tadapi Jayagya Kanka Kridra Vatarvata Sayashyase Hatastatra Bhavata Sharanang Shunam. Ladies, right? Mukam, face. Tat, that. Apidaya, being covered. Agna, oh, ignorant man. Konga, by herons. Gudra, vultures. Vatai, and vata birds. Now, vata actually means the air birds. Vrita, surrounded. Sayishya, say, you will lie. Hata, killed. Tatra, thereupon. Bhavata, you will become. Shananam, shelter. Shunam, for dogs. Translation, when you lie dead, O fool, your face covered by vultures, herons, and birds, you will become the shelter of dogs. So you can repeat, when you lie dead, O fool, your face covered by vultures, herons, and birds, you will become the shelter of dogs. So, purport by the followers of His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Pondarka foolishly told the Supreme Lord to come to him for shelter. But here Lord Krishna tells him, you are not my shelter, but rather you will become the shelter of dogs when they happily feast on your dead body. Srila Prabhupada vividly describes the scene as follows. Lord Krishna told Pundraka, when I shall destroy you, foolish king, you will have to conceal your face in disgrace, and when your head is severed from your body by my disc, you will be surrounded by meat-eating birds like vultures, hawks, and eagles. At that time, instead of becoming my shelter as you have demanded, you will be subjected to the mercy of these low-born birds. At that time, your body will be thrown to the dogs, who will eat it with great pleasure. And so, short commentaries by the Acharyas, Jiva Goswami says, you said that you will surrender to me. That fate will be accomplished with surrender to dogs and not others. After speaking like this, after turning your face downwards, when you fall, cover it with sand and lie down dead. Other people, when sleeping, cover their faces with cloth. The vultures and herons will be your assistants at that time. The vata is a bird with sharp beak that loves to eat meat. Another meaning by joining this verse with the previous verse is, I will throw my weapons at you and they will make you lie down dead. These weapons about which you boasted will cover your face. Krishna's mood is quite interesting. So, Mukam tadapi jayagya konga goridra vatar vita sayishashe atastatra bhavata sharanam shunam. So, Omagana Timirandasha Gananjana Shalakya Chaksur Unmiritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So oftentimes we misunderstand the mentality of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And we think that he is angry because he's been insulted. Right? You know, for example, if someone insults me, of course, maybe I'll get angry. Maybe I'll thank him for it. But anyway, so whatever. But it insults a regular person. We won't mention the name of any politicians who can't stand to be criticized. But anyway, then what happens? They get angry and they want to take vengeance. Get even. I'm going to teach you a lesson that you will never forget. And that's, of course, called retributive, not even justice, just anger that occurs. Krishna is not like that. Krishna is not being controlled by anger. You know, he is angry, but he's enjoying his anger. You know, because Krishna could have killed Pondraka just in an instant. I mean, actually, Pondraka's own offenses could have killed him. You know, he would have burnt in ashes just by making offenses to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But there's something else going on here, much more than Krishna being angry. And I'm going to refer to a first verse in the Nectar Devotion Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which pretty much explains what's really going on here. It's interesting. It's the first verse. And it's a beautiful verse. And some of it refers to what's going on here. Some of it refers to Krishna's relationship with the gopis. But I'll read it. It's called Akila Rasamrita Murti Prasrin Mara Ruchi Ruda Taraka Pali Kalita Shama Lalito Radha Prayan Vidur Jayate. The translation is Krishna, the destroyer of all sin and the bestower of all bliss, the very form of the highest bliss, filled with all rasas, excels all others in glory. And so that's the part that refers to what we're talking about. He brings Karaka and Palika under his control. By the diffusion of his beauty, he accepts Shamala and Lalita, which this section doesn't have anything to do with what we're talking about, as his equals and gives pleasure to Radha by his excellent qualities. So, and there's a second meaning to this verse. The full moon, which destroys suffering and creates happiness by its cooling rays, shines everywhere with its excellent qualities and beauty. It is the very form of nectar filled with all taste. It eclipses the host of stars by its light, accepts the playful gestures of the night, and fondly enters into the Vishaka constellation in its spring season. So actually what's being said in this verse, put it in common language, Krishna is the repository of the enjoyment of all different rasas. And his devotees, on the other hand, they're also enjoying those different rasas. Rasa means like a taste of relationship, in relationship to Krishna. So really what's happening here is Krishna's enjoying. Let me continue reading the purport for this particular verse, which is, actually it's not written by Prabhupada because Prabhupada didn't translate the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. He summarized it. Akila Rasamrita Murti. It's interesting, just a side note, when Prabhupada mentioned this particular verse, he quoted the Sanskrit in a little bit different way. He said, Akila Rasamrita Sindhu instead of Murti, which is really interesting. Murti means, of course, the form. I mean, in the material world, it means a body or form in the material world. I mean, just like we worship the Murtis of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And there's another verse in the Bhagavatam which states that, and I forget the Sanskrit right now, that the form of the Lord is manifest in his holy name too. Mantramurti Amurtikam, that's the Sanskrit verse. That the Lord's form, and we know that, Namaguna Rupa Lila, right, is manifest. So anyway, so Murti. So the original verse, really interesting, has the word Murti, but Prabhupada, whenever he mentions it, he doesn't say Akila Rasamrita Murti, he says Akila Rasamrita Sindhu. And I found that quite beautiful. It's not that there's a mistake on Prabhupada's part. He's actually giving us some insight into Krishna's nature. Of course, for those of you who don't know, Sindhu means like an ocean, an unlimited expanse. So Krishna is an unlimited expanse of the taste of rasa. And I have there's a lot of things I could read here, but we'll maybe go back to this, but I just want to read another verse from the Tatatriya Upanishad, 271, that I came across. And this verse, Raso Vaisa Rasam Yevayam, and Prabhupada quoted this sometimes, just the first, Prabhupada quoted the first three words in this, Raso Vaisa. So that's where I found it. It's not that I looked up all the Upanishads last night. Rasam Yevayam Lavvanandi Bhavati Esha Yeva Nandayati. And it says that Krishna indeed is Ras. Of course, the impersonalists, you know how they translate that. They say Brahman is Ras. But that's ridiculous. How could the impersonal Brahman be a taste of relationships, isn't it? Because when one merges in the impersonal Brahman, there's no relationships. It's just the bliss of forgetting how miserable you were in the material world. That's it. You know, it's a relief of distress. And you get that immediately when you take up devotional service. Devotional service relieves you from all distress. So that's how the personalists, you know, looking at the two different types of translations of this verse, the personalists say, Krishna indeed is Ras. And only upon attaining him does one become blissful, since he alone causes bliss. Isn't that a beautiful verse? We should inscribe this verse on our hearts. And this is the Upanishads. So, anyway, getting back, of course, here's some of the things that were mentioned in the previous class that, you know, the devotees experience different rasas. This is part of the purport of the Akila Rasamrita Murti verse in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Okay, I'm not going to get into, I got too much to read there. So, the point I'm making about this particular verse in the Bhagavatam is that a lot more is going on than meets the eye. You know, we think, from our point of view, Krishna's getting damn angry. He wants to smash this rascal. Not really just that. That's just like a tiny part of what's happening. So analyzing Krishna's mood, which I guess is really presumptuous of me, but we can do this according to the Acharya's statements. Analyzing Krishna's moods, let's try to see what Krishna is, what Ras Krishna is experiencing. I cannot say I know Krishna that well to psychoanalyze him, but we can do it from the standpoint of the Acharya's words. So I've come to the conclusion, after hearing this particular verse, that all the indirect rasas are being manifest simultaneously by Krishna in this particular circumstance. And Krishna's enjoying, as he always does. It's not that Krishna wasn't enjoying before. But all this particular circumstance with Pundraka was arranged for his pleasure. And Pundraka, even though he has no intention of doing it, is serving Krishna in a very wonderful, exalted way. So let me explain. Okay, we'll talk about the indirect rasas right now. And, okay, first one that we'll talk about is ghastliness. Now, isn't this description pretty ghastly? Anyone? I mean, you picture in your mind, you know, there's vultures and dogs eating someone's body. It's disgusting. And of course, we do know that the Parshis actually do that with the dead bodies, isn't it? Prabhupada describes the Parshis, at least originally, I don't know what they do now, they would throw the dead body off a tower and let the vultures eat the dead body. Of course, we, in Gaudiya Vaishnavism, we burn the body unless it happens to be a guru. But still, whatever happens in the body is always food for worms or ashes. It's pretty ghastly. The body always has a ghastly end to it. So anyway, so Krishna's whole statement here is a very ghastly statement. You know, your face, the dogs, you're going to take shelter of the dogs. Wow. So there's ghastliness. Then the next one, of course, is obvious. What's the next one? Humor. Because you hear from the previous verse, you know, everybody was just jolly. It was a humor. This whole section of the Bhagavatam is a humorous interlude. You know, very serious. Balaram visits Vrindavan, and all of a sudden, there's this joker there. And literally, Pundraka is a joker. You know, there's many different ways you can analyze Pundraka's situation, such as he had ill advice, became puffed up, attached to the senses, like I mentioned in the previous class. Yadindriya priti apranoti nasado manye apano yam. According to Lord Rishabhadev, nunam pramata kurutevi karma. So, there's many ways you can analyze it. But still, he's a joker. And so, Shukadev Goswami has arranged for this joker to be put here in this section of the Bhagavatam. Even though it may not be chronological, he just said, you know, it's time for an interesting, joking interlude. And Krishna and the Yadus are having such a good time, you know, rolling around in laughter. So that's humor, isn't it? And the next indirect one is wonder. In other words, it's amazing this jackass has said this to Krishna. It's just, you know, it's like shock, right? Oh my God, how could someone say that? You know, even in this mature world, if someone came to the temple, let's say one of the devotees came and said, I'm Veer Krishna Maharaj. You know, as the Ishwara said that. The first reason, he has the only one wearing saffron. He's a lot bigger than me. Twice as big. So anyway, so if you get, it'd be shocking, right? So there's wonder. Oh my God, what's happening here? And so Krishna is also experiencing that at this point. And then also, one thing you don't even think about is that because he's angry, but he's also compassionate. That's the next one. Because you find, I mean, just to give one instance in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes, when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very angry at Gopal Chapala, you know, sorry, Gopal Chapala tried to defame Shivas Thakur, and as a result, he got leprosy, right? And then Lord Chaitanya, he went to Lord Chaitanya, and the Lord Chaitanya, in a very angry mood, but it was also compassion. He said, I curse you, and he went to Lord Chaitanya, free me from these worms that are biting me all over my body. You know, like, definitely it's like that song we learned when we were young. What is it? The worms crawl in and the worms crawl out in your stomach and out. Anyway, so, and Lord Chaitanya said, I curse you to be bitten by the same worms for, you know, millions of lifetimes. So, oh my God. But there's compassion there. Just like Krishna here, apparently he's predicting the future, and it actually happens like that, it's true. But he's also giving him a warning. Just like when Krishna, yeah, so Lord Chaitanya was giving Gopal Chapala a warning. It wasn't just, this is going to happen to you or I curse you, but there was a way out of it. You know, there's a threat. Bhagavad Gita, even though it was mentioned yesterday, Krishna does give Arjuna a warning. You're going to be defamed, all the sorts of warnings like that. Of course, they weren't so heavy as the warnings there. So you actually find that the Lord is actually giving you a warning. Just like another example is Narada Muni. He gave Magrari a warning. He said, this is your future, buddy. You better shape up, or ship out. Anyway, you better rectify yourself. And so Bhagavatam is filled with warnings, not only for specific demons, but for us. What is the fifth canto about? Those are warnings. You do this, you get into liquor, and you're going to be drinking hot molten metal, right? And Brahmins have heavier punishment than others. So, so all these things are warnings. So ultimately, Krishna forgives. Like I'm in the Valmiki Ramayana. When even after Indrajit was killed, all the monkeys and bears and even Lakshman, they wanted to tear Indrajit's body to pieces. And Lord Ram said, no, we forgive him. So the Lord is Karuna Sindhu, Kripa Sindhu, Karuna Sindhu. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu, Dinabandhu Jagatpate. So he's always ready to forgive. So Pundraka had gone to him and said, please accept my obeisances. Please forgive me. Then they would have become friends at that point. So there's compassion there. There's a warning. And then here's another one. There's anger. Right? Obviously, there's anger. That's what's apparently there. But that anger is tempered with the next one, which is chivalry. Chivalry, everyone understands, like Krishna's acting as a Kshatriya, very chivalrous. It's like, all right, let's use the example of a football game or a baseball game or something like that, where you have sort of like a chivalrous relationship. You start calling your enemies or people on the other side all sorts of names. I remember playing baseball when I was a kid, and you would call people all these names, isn't it? You say, you jerk, you'll never hit the ball, you're useless, you're hopeless. So Krishna is doing that too. He's enjoying this sort of relationship, this chivalrous, like a sporting type relationship. So all these things, these indirect rasas, are going on simultaneously with Krishna. And he's having, I hate to use the expression, the time of his life. Obviously, he's not a conditioned soul, but he's enjoying like anything. And Krishna's always enjoying. When we get angry, someone insults us, we're not enjoying, like when I hear something on the internet about me, how big a rascal I am, then we're criticizing. What's the enjoyment? You feel hurt, you feel pained. But Krishna's just saying, wow, I'm so happy, I'm experiencing, a ghastly compassion, humor, everything wrapped into one. And so Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. I can read a little bit more from what I wrote. Actually, the commentary. So, let's see, this is... let's see, Samanya. This is actually the first wave of the... Oh, yeah, here. The cause of all the outstanding qualities that Krishna has and devotional service has is described. This is such an interesting point. The qualities of devotional service that destroys all suffering, bestows the greatest bliss, etc. His unique feature, which is the cause of all the qualities, is his form of supreme bliss, Amrita Murti, or Asamrita Murti. Since he contains all 12 rasas, Akila Rasa. So in other words, Krishna contains all these 12, of course the 12 means the 7 I mentioned, and the 5 normal, no, I wouldn't say normal, the 5 Staibhava rasas. The Shanta Ras, Dasa Ras, Sakya Ras, Vatsalya Ras, and Maturya Ras. Starting with Shanta, Ananda Murtim Upaguya, Dushatma Labdam Rishat Tvacho Jahur Anantam Arindamadim. Take him into their hearts through their eyes. The devotees embrace him, the embodiment of all ecstasy. Krishna is the embodiment of all ecstasy. And as their bodily hairs stood on end of subduer of enemies, they forgot the unlimited distress caused by his absence. So, if we remember these qualities about Krishna, and we take them into our heart through his holy names, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, we will experience the embodiment of ras, the embodiment of bliss, or as Prabhupada said, Akila Rasamrita Sindhu, the ocean of all tastes, the ocean of all nectar. So, we can stop here. Any questions or comments? Comments, questions, problems? Such a beautiful verse, isn't it? That first verse of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. I don't know. Never been to Mayavadi. I mean, how can the impersonal Brahman be the source of all rasas? That's how they translate the Tatatriya Upanishad. Pratishtaham, yeah. Well, they turn it around. You know, they juggle that particular verse. I've heard different explanations of it. That they juggle around to say, you know, that somehow or other they can juggle the words and say that Krishna comes from the Brahman. You know, so they have Mogasha Moga Karmana Moga Jnana Vichas, that their intelligence is stolen by illusion. And so Krishna is giving, because they're envious, you know, Namam Duskriti Nimura Mayaya Pratigyana. Because their knowledge is stolen by illusion, Krishna is making them look like fools. He's like an expert hypnotist who can hypnotize someone to act like a dog. And everybody is laughing as they're watching the professor on stage get down on his 4 legs, with 4 hands and knees, and bark. Krishna's playing, what does it call? Pin the tail on the donkey, and we're the donkey. Isn't it? Krishna says, of all cheating games, I'm gambling. So Krishna's also a cheater, too. You want to cheat Krishna? Yeyatamam prapajante tam sataiva bhajamyam. Then Krishna will cheat you. So, it's reciprocation. If you don't want Krishna, then Krishna gives you intelligence. How to forget him. I mean, it's unbelievable how people can think that Brahman is the source of all bliss, or source of all ras. Bliss is one thing. You can misunderstand that word. But real happiness, bliss, is relationship. It's not just sitting there. It's just like someone sits with someone they really like and just sits in the room and just stays still. All right, we have such a blissful relationship. Anyway, it doesn't make sense. Okay, time to greet the deities. All glories to Shri.
Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Enam Kanvanda Maravindanalaya Taksham Barhavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandar Agom Vidamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Asa Sakalen Priya Priti Manti Pasyan Vipan Vikayanti Chiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami 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 Govindam Adipurusham
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namo Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nivishesha Sunyavadi Vaskachadi Satarine Namaste Saraswati Gauravani Pracharine Nivishesha Sunyavadi Vaskachadi Satarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Radha Goloka Nanda, Radha Goloka Nanda, Radha Goloka Nanda, Shri Radhe Jaya, Radha Goloka Nanda, Radha Goloka Nanda, Radha Goloka Nanda, Shira Jaya, Radha Goloka Nanda, Radha Goloka Nanda, Radha Goloka Nanda, Shri Radhe, Radha Goloka Nanda, Radha Goloka Nanda, Radha Goloka Nanda, Shri Jaya Giri Govardhan Jaya, 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 Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada.
Devagni Nirvapanam Shreya Kairavya Chandrika Vitaranam Vijavadu Jivanam Anandam Buddhivardhanam Pratipanam Purnamrita Swadanam Sarvatmasnapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Bhardan. Beautiful dahlias. Tatritani Amrita Smaranena Kala Etadrishi Vakripa Bhagavan Mamapi Dordaiva Nidrishami Hajjani Nanuraga Trinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Suhishuna Amanina Manadena Yurtaniya Sadahari Nadram Najanam Nasundarim Kavitam Vajagadishakamaye Mama Janmani Janmani Ishvareim Bhavatad Bhaktir Hoitaki Twai Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Mam Vishame Bhavam Buddha Kripayata Vapada Pankaja Stita Duli Sajashim Vachintaya Gadaju Daraya Varanam Gad Garudaya Gira Pulakarnishitam Vabukada Tavanama Grahane Bhavishyati Yugayatam Namishena Chakshusha Bravashayatam Shunayatam Jagat Sarvam Govindam Virahename Ashlishyava Padamratam Anastumam Adarshanam Marma Hatakarotuva Yatatava Vidadatulam Patomat Prananatastusa Evanapara. Victory, Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large, because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. O my Lord, congregational chanting of your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you've invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. Oh, my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking himself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. O Son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. Oh, my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? Oh, Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handles me roughly by his embrace, or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord, unconditionally. Shri Shastika Ki Jai.